So, no, we're live? Really? I didn't know that happened. Um, I'm in a sarcastic mood, FYI.
It's been a day.
Yes. Okay. So, I'm going to pull up my tablet so I can kind of see the remarks. Wait a few minutes for peeps to come in.
I'm just looking up stuff right now.
She vibing.
Ooh, can I watch it here?
Finish my peep.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Are you kidding me?
No, they never kid.
The one documentary that I knew was that I have watched before.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. Oh, looks like you're not doing that one.
No, I'm doing that one. I just got to do a whole bunch more extra research and see if I can find it.
All right, cool. As I'm sitting here eating a peep.
Hello.
Hello, one person.
That's us.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
You're not watching yourself.
Yes, we are watching ourselves.
No, that was already there before I pulled it up.
That had 0.
Mm-hmm. No, there's two.
It says 1 watching.
Two up there. It'll
What?
catch up with itself. Yeah, before I pulled it up, it already said one.
I'm so lost.
Hi, Angela.
Oh, hi.
The one person that's saying on this live is Angela, the moderator. Okay. So we're gonna jump in and get started. I gotta take my glasses off.
I'm seeing if I can pull up a movie on
Okay.
YouTube.
Yeah. So no, she's not paying attention.
I'm paying attention.
Okay.
I don't have to talk today, so
She's
great.
She's excited about that.
I get to
Hi,
vibe.
Thomas. Oh, see, look, now there's 3 watching. Okay. So we all, if you don't know, today is the anniversary of the Titanic sinking. And I wanted to do on this one just to kind of dig into the history of the Titanic. It was a beautiful ship. I have 4 pages, literally about 4 pages of research here. Plus, on my tablet, I have like a few things that I found as well that I'm going to go back and forth with. But I'm going to start with the key events of the Titanic, pretty much from the construction. It literally going to go all the way up to when it sank. There is, where did I do? Oh, there it is. Okay. There is a quote in here when I get to the part of, I think that's still the key, no, the timeline details. So there's a small section of the key events and a big section of the timeline details. So when I get to those, there's a quote in here that came from the captain that was like, okay, he knew. So starting off, the Titanic was constructed back in 1909. We know that the sinking was on April 14th, 1912. Do not know the month or anything like that of when they started the construction, but they had the construction started in 1909. 1911 came around a couple of years later, and that's when they launched the Titanic. Get this though, as they launched the Titanic, they were still installing the engines and the interior.
Why would you send a ship off if you have not had the interior or the engine set?
There you go. I thought the same thing. It's like, okay, that kind of sounds like since this is about a ship, it's like a Disney ship. They did the same thing when they would launch their ships. People are still working on them. So they still have people working on them, putting the interior in, putting the engines on there. And I'm like, are you going to get a ship to go when there is no engines doing anything? So
That don't make no sense.
yeah, that kind of was like baffling to me that okay, let's launch it, but you have no engines. Okay. Interior I can understand. Totally get that part of it.
Yeah,
Okay.
the engines make no sense.
They completed this ship in a year. So mind you, it started in 1909. They launched it in 1911. The Titanic was completed by 1912. Well, more than a year. Sorry.
I feel like corners were cut. I'm
Excuse me.
gonna be honest.
Well,
I feel like
they started doing sea trials to make sure it wasn't going to sink and there was no holes and all that stuff.
I still think corners were cut.
Okay.
Maybe it
Now,
still floated, but I'm pretty sure there was some sort of corners cut.
so now we're going to get into it's still no, 1912, April 10th. Stop it. On April
Guitar.
10th, 1912, Titanic embarks on its first maiden voyage, and it went from Southampton to New York, and it made a few stops along the way. It went to, I don't know how to say this. I'm going to probably butcher it, and I apologize. I think it's Cherbourg. It's French. So they went to France. Then they also went to Queenstown in Ireland. So they made it because they're picking up more people, apparently. So again, these are just key events. April 14th, 1912. We all know that's when the Titanic hit an iceberg. That was done at 11:40 at night. April 15th, at 2:20 in the morning is when it sank. So that you already hit the bottom, already down there. Fish are taking over. April 15th, still, Carpathia arrives to get whatever survivors that they can get. Okay, September 1st, 1985.
My birthday.
The wreck site is located by a joint French and USA expedition.
Wait, so they sent a bunch of people. So they were just floating out in the ocean being like, let's get people, let's get people, let's get people.
They were
We
getting
don't
all the
even know where
survivors.
we don't even know where the crash site is, but we're just gonna get all the people we can.
Yeah.
Because they just float off from the crash site? They just
Well, now we're gonna get into the timeline details.
they just went, we go where the
So-
wind takes us.
It'll be more or less the current. So now we're going to get into the timeline. This is going to literally cut it down from where it was at. July 29th, 1908, the design was approved for the Titanic. Because obviously you have to get that approved before you can start building, right?
Gotta get them permits. All the law.
March 31st, 1909, keel was laid. So I have actually printed this off of Pinterest. I actually printed off a ship. And what the keel is the very bottom of the boat. So it's like the booty of the boat. Okay. We'll come across when they describe things. I'll look at that. So that was laid so they could start construction and get it going. May 31st, 1911, noon, hull was successfully launched. I forgot what the hull was. I should have printed out the other one too.
I think that's where the front of the boat is.
Well, no, because you got you got the bow. This is the bow, the stern, starboard. Yes, I learned. Guess what? Some lingo about a boat. I'm sorry, a ship. I was kind of confused when I read some. I was like, oh, okay, I know what that is. So they successfully launched it, and then in January 1912, 16 wooden lifeboats were fitted on board.
How many people could this boat hold?
We're gonna jump into that, are we? We're gonna go straight to that.
I just need to know.
Okay, so there was a total passengers, or everybody on board. That's what you want to know.
Everyone passed.
2,229 people were on board.
Okay, so passenger and crew.
That's a total of everybody.
And they brought 16 lifeboats. How many people could fit in a lifeboat?
We'll get to that. You stop trying to jump ahead.
I'm just saying the math ain't mathing.
Okay, there's a timeline detail. So March 31st, fitting of Titanic was completed. So done. Good to go, right? April 2nd, 1912. 6 a.m. or p.m., it doesn't say when I looked it up, began sea trials again. So they're going to see if it's going to stay afloat. April 3rd, 1912. Arrives in Southampton. So remember, they were making stops.
Yeah.
Southampton, New York, and then France, and then Ireland. And they were there for 7 days because that's where they made port, was in Southampton. April 10th, passengers started to arrive in Southampton to board between 9:30 and 11:30 a.m. that day.
Okay.
Okay. Noon, same day, Titanic set sail. Between it had it in military time, so I had to count my fingers military time. So 7:30, it reached France. The
Okay.
Cherbourg, France is where. Sorry if I butcher it. Picked up more passengers there. Okay. Then April 11th, 11:30 a.m. they reached Queenstown, Ireland.
Okay.
So pretty much
They've got their
sounds like to
stops.
me it's like an almost like a day to get point A to point B. The 12th and 13th they were sailing through calm waters. Nothing was wrong. Nothing in weather saying that there's going to be rough seas or anything like that, or the
They
way
were
that they were
just
going.
vibing. They were like,
They
this
were
is
just
like the
going.
best time to sail a boat.
Here's
Nothing can go wrong.
here's the kicker. Okay, the day of April 14th, 7 iceberg warnings were received to the Titanic.
Why
So
didn't they stop the boat?
that's a good question.
Why
I'm not a
you get
captain.
you get 7 warnings? Why don't you just go? We're just gonna wait a little bit. We're just gonna chill. Just for
Yeah,
they may get mad that we're not moving forward, but you know what? More oceanic view for you all.
exactly. Makes it become an aquarium. April 14th at 11:40 at night. Dead ahead, iceberg. It struck the right side, or starboard side of the
Did
bow.
did they not see it? How can you miss an iceberg? How, can't you just be like, "Yo, I think there's an iceberg ahead," and just like, "Woo"?
No, that's not how it works. So on this paper that I have, the sinking of the Titanic, April 4th, it was dark. It was dark. I mean, 11:40 at night.
This is why we have
Or
headlights now. We don't want another Titanic.
yeah, right. On the paper it says 11:39. On here it says 11:40. We're going with 11:40. The lookout spot an iceberg, and obviously everybody's seen the movie. Iceberg ahead, they yell it, right? So, at least they thought the boat was unsinkable. That is a good point too, Thomas.
No
The
boat
thing
is
here's the
unsinkable.
thing. It's no, it's not. I was about to say Disney is, but I've not been on one. So y'all know that there were like 6 compartments on the boat. Okay, so this boat. Let me tell you what this boat had. It had a crow's nest, obviously. Lookout. Then you have a chart room, a wheelhouse, captain's bridge. Captain sleeps there, right? Then you have a boiler room. Then you have a squash court. Who in their right mind needs a squash court on board? Which that would be questioning every boat since hereafter of why they put the things on the boat that they do. Then you have
Like squatches to grow squatches or squatches
no
the game?
squash, squash court. Did I say squash? Sorry.
Or maybe I misheard you. Like I said, it's been
No, I'm
a
like thinking,
day.
did I say squash? My bad. Squash. The rich and fancy dine. True. Squash the game. See, Angela knew. Hi, Mom. And so they have uh, boiler room 6. So apparently, at the front of the boat where it got hit, there are 6 compartments. For the boat to stay afloat, only 4 of them had to fill up, and they would be able to keep going and get to their destination to where they were going to go.
So the fifth and sixth were kind of like, if you get hit, you out of luck. You
Pretty
going
much.
down.
Pretty much.
Okay.
So, and I mean, they have 6 boiler rooms. They have a turbine engine room, triple expansion engine room, the coal, obviously, where they shoveled the coal, the provisions, where they kept the food and everything, third class dining saloon, Turkish bath, grand staircase, boiler room, which, if I can remember to, I will upload photos of me and John when we went with my brother and my sister to Branson. And we actually went to the Titanic Museum,
Oh, also,
which was nice.
I know something about the boiler rooms.
Before you say it, she's got to wait. No, you got to wait because I'm going to say it before you. But okay, so we know boat gets hit by an iceberg,
Yeah.
decent sized iceberg, right? So the thing is it hit Okay, I will tell you this tidbit from somebody that I forgot her name already, and she's on TikTok. She also talks about Titanic. She mentioned that when they look at the pictures now that I'm going to pull up, and I can also put them on our channel too to show them the new pictures that they have. They're crisp, they're clear.
Because they literally
You
like,
can literally see the boats or the boat.
yeah,
And one of them, I don't think it shows the gash, but from what this lady was saying and what they're saying now on the BBC, they put out new pictures. It was the size of a paper, a
y-
piece of paper. That's how big the cut was, a piece of paper. But in the movies, they got to exaggerate it and they have to
yeah.
make it look good so they sell the film.
Because like you said, those first four were able to stay.
Since we all need to visit one of those.
Uh, the first four were able to stay on. Like even if they got scratched up, the boat would float. So
Mhm.
it when it hit the fifth or the sixth, because I was the one who sent her the TikTok about her. Also, if you look up those photos, because they went down and they used an underwater drone to catch
Excuse me.
those photos,
Hmm.
and they use like the best like they use the same kind of cameras that are used to get photos for like outer space. Like that's like the scope of the camera they
Hmm.
use. So like I know I saw they were able to see like individual valves for the
Hmm.
steam that was coming out of the ship.
Yeah. And then, so talking about, like she's saying, the boiler rooms in those new pictures, it's very sad, in all honesty. It is very, very sad to know this. So everybody knows Captain goes down with the ship. I know we're kind of bouncing all over the place, but that's okay. We'll continue with these and the other things. What is very sad is when you see these crisp, clear photos, and you see the boiler rooms. The lever was up. It was open. And what people don't realize is the men and women that were on this ship and that could have been working down in that boiler room literally gave their life to keep that boat afloat as long as they could until they couldn't do it no more. So they were literally shoveling coal to keep the lights on while the boiler room in that area was filling up.
Which further proves, because a lot of people were confused as to how like the lights were able to stay on while they
Hmm.
were sinking, how there was still steam coming out of the boat, and it was because these people were still in
And
the
of course,
boiler rooms just.
we're not going to pay attention to that in the movie because we're all like, "Oh my God, the ship's going down." We're paying attention to the movie. We're not paying attention to the small details of everything that is going on and what has happened on that ship. And
Yeah.
we don't know everything that has happened because why? There are no more survivors. All the survivors are now gone. There's no more information that we can get from people. So everything that you see either in the movies or, well, hi Mulan, um, or online came from the people that survived,
Hmm.
and their recollection of what went on and what happened.
And now we're just going through and trying to find ways to back it up, and I think that's also like really sad, is like, yeah, we never thought
Hi,
about,
buddy.
oh yeah, they were saying that there was steam coming out of the ship,
Mm-hmm.
and now to realize it was functioned by people
Who gave their life,
who
and
were
that's how I
shoving
look at it.
coal. Yeah.
Who I look at it, they gave their life so people up on the top of the boat. I mean, this ain't no tiny boat. Let me show you this. It's not no tiny boat, guys. Okay, that's a big freaking boat, almost a big boat. So the dimensions of this boat are 270 meters. No, whatever.
That's a big boat.
It's a big boat. Total horsepower 46,000. Beam 28. Service speed 21 knots. Tonnage 46,329. Top speed 23 to 24 knots. So it can go that fast. I don't understand knots, but I'm guessing that's pretty fast.
Yeah.
Hi, Grandma says hi. She loves you, Mulan. I mean, but they had all this stuff, and so as this is going on and this is happening, and the boat is filling up with water in those first four compartments before it starts to hit 5 and 6, it literally rises to 14 feet that fast. So within 10 minutes, when the iceberg hit, 11:50 starts filling up.
Hmm.
It's like, well, crap. There's no chance. Right at midnight, so pretty much 10 minutes later, the captain gives orders to call for help after being told that they have a couple of hours of staying afloat. So they knew they only had a few hours to stay afloat. 21 knots is 28 miles per hour. Thanks, because I didn't know that.
Oh.
Gonna be eating, so I'll be watching, but not in the chat. Okay, that works. Eat your food. It's a ship, not a boat. Yes, Mom, I know. I keep calling it a boat. Sorry. It was a magnificent ship.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful ship. Like I said, I will post photos of John and I going and walking through. It was very emotional when we walked through there. Being able to, kid God, the most emotional part of that trip for me, and a lot of people may not believe this, but if I go into certain places, I feel certain things. Like you can feel the dread. And mine was in the music room because they had the piano in there, and they had all the pictures of the pictures of the people that played the instruments.
Yeah.
So that was pretty. And the water, oh, good God, the water was freezing. They even had a thing you put your hand in there, and I think I lasted longer than John. But I mean, it was very. I'm sorry, but I forgot the temperature of how cold the water was. Um,
I think it was below freezing, especially because it was able to maintain giant icebergs. It had to have been super cold.
yeah, it was pretty. The little display that they have where you put your hand in, it was pretty freezing because your hand turned. Our hands were all red after we did it.
Mm-hmm.
So at 12:05, orders were given to uncover the lifeboats, to start getting people on the lifeboats, get the passengers crew ready. There was room on the lifeboats for half of the estimated people on board. So I told you
So I was right.
there's 2,229 people. But this is gonna piss you off in a minute. Okay. 12:25. They begin loading the lifeboats with women and children first. Carpathia, who was about 58 miles southeast of Titanic, begins heading towards them to help rescue passengers.
Mm-hmm.
So here is, I had to do the whole between the hours because it's a lot of stuff. April 15th, between the hours of 12:45 and 2:20. First lifeboat was lowered. Each lifeboat could carry 65 people.
Okay.
65 people.
Okay, because in the movie, wasn't it like they could only fit like 8?
28. They only put because remember they're doing women and children first.
Mm-hmm.
So the first lifeboat that was lowered only had 28 people in it. They could have added more. They could have put more people in there. But again, remind you, there are people panicking. They don't know what's going on. All
I'm
they know is there's
sorry.
an iceberg.
I'm sorry. Still, you can put how many people on a lifeboat?
You could have put 65.
65, and they
Mhm.
put 28, and they went, it's good.
Yep, it's going down.
How much you want to bet somebody paid them to put them with that amount of people?
I mean, that could be a theory. It could be a conspiracy theory, which is on that site that I have. So they sent off their first distress rocket, right? They fired a total of 8 the whole time, the whole night, down to the end. 8 of them. Mind you, Carpathia is about 58 miles away from them, southeast of where they are.
Okay.
Okay.
So even if they were able to move at what,
A top speed, 24 knots, 23 to 24 knots.
which is probably about 30 miles an hour, they should have gotten there within an hour and a half to 2 hours.
And it took 2 hours for it to, yeah. So, or that many hours for it to sink. The last lifeboat had left the ship. There were over 1,500 people left on the ship. Okay, now here's the thing. So you know how between ships they do the whole the SOS thing, right?
The Morse code, yeah.
I just wanted to do that, by the way. It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
The last radio message that was sent from the captain was said, "Every man for himself." That was the very last message that was sent out over the radio. Was every man for himself.
Oh, so the captain said, "Screw it."
we're screwed.
We're just everyone fend for themselves.
Yep.
Rules don't follow here. We just
Yeah, pretty much. So that's sad. To
yeah,
me, that's
that's
sad for him to sit there and be like, "There's nothing I can do. I have all these people that are now stuck on this ship because we thought this majestic ship was supposed to be unsinkable. This happens. It's my fault." There has to be, not has to be, had to be
some sort of
some
guilt.
guilt and regret on his half. He didn't build the ship. He didn't build it. White Star Line built it.
Mhm.
He did not. He just sailed it. But for every ship that has a captain, they're going to sit there and possibly take that responsibility on by saying, God, now we have 1,500 people that are still left on this ship, this ship, you know. But to hear him say, every man for himself, it's like, okay. I mean, and again, I don't know, understand knots. Yeah. 40, 45, 65, depending on which lifeboat was there. So she said almost 3 hours. That would have been 3 hours.
Yeah.
So, um, and then as everybody knows, ships like this, okay, because it's already filled the first 6 compartments, right?
Hmm.
So as it was doing that and it was filling the ship, the bottom
Hmm.
half of the ship, it kind of starts going like this. So here the back end's like this. It's fine. It's straight. I mean, it's sinking, but it's straight. And then you just see the front start tilting, and that's where you hear it start breaking. What happened is, and from my thing that I got, we'll come back to this.
Did the front of the boat get too heavy because there was water?
There was water going into the front of the ship, and because it was, that's where the back half is still flat. It's still, but then you start noticing as this goes down, this is going to go up. Well, now it can't hold that weight,
No,
so then it snaps, and you could start hearing it. Well, we can't, but they could start hearing it snap. So it snaps, and then what happens? They both kind of level out,
because now
right?
both sides are
Because
taking
now,
on water,
yep.
and now both sides are equal.
So going through everything, I mean, Carpathia, yes, they did finally make it there, right? When it finally broke off, it started to settle back into the water, and it was only there for a short time. Now it's open. Now it's a bigger hole on the middle of the boat ship, and when they both start taking on water, of
They start
course,
going
they
down
start going
faster.
down faster. And but when you see um, the thing that they use, they did like a reenactment of how it happened. So you see, obviously, snaps. This one goes down like this, and they said it kind of does this. There's like a little motion down, and then it falls.
Probably because it's air that's still in the ship
Yeah.
was kind of like going back and forth. You know how like you have like those what's it called?
Oh, Carpathia. Okay, so Angela's saying Carpathia had to wait before it got too close because it could have taken them down too with the suction of the whole thing.
Mm,
So I'm going to do this for a second because there's some other things that I found. Okay. So if you guys want to know the website that I went to for this, and I'm going to put them into the, oh my God, why am I having such a brain fart today? Description of what's going on. So the name of it is called History on the Net, and that's where I got a lot of this information. There's passengers. You can look up a lot of this stuff, and it will tell you a lot of what's going on and what has happened. Um, so White Star Line obviously is the person that it who built the ship, right? Why is it looking like that? I don't like that. Okay, so here we go. So they had double-ended boilers, which were 20 feet long, had a diameter of 15 feet 9 inches, and contained 6 coal-burning furnaces. The single-ended boilers were 11 feet 9 inches long, with the same diameter and 3 furnaces. Smoke and waste gases were expelled through 3 funnels. Funnels Titanic oh, funnels. Titanic's 4 funnels were constructed away from the site and were then transported to the shipyard for putting on the Titanic. Do you know I heard something though? You know how it has the 4 funnels?
Yeah.
One of them wasn't real. One of them wasn't functioning.
Yeah, I've
I've
heard
heard that
that too.
one wasn't
The one
functioning.
wasn't functioning. It was solely so it looked even more pretty.
Yeah, so
Which
oh, here it is. Only 3 of the funnels were used to expel smoke and waste gases. The fourth was added to make the ship more powerful. Propellers, they had 3 propellers which were powered by steam.
how does one single just make it
I have no idea.
what
Yeah.
what?
So
Uh,
so let's see, 10 months. Okay, so you want to know what the total cost for the RMS Titanic was? Back in
mm,
1912.
mm,
1912.
is it in a millions range?
Yes.
Mm, mm. I want to say 6 million.
Yeah, higher. A little higher.
8 million?
A little lower.
7 million?
7.5.
In the 1980s.
Just said 1912. Yeah, when I looked at it,
1912.
7.5 million, and in parentheses says 1912.
That's
a lot of money.
a boatload. No pun
That's
intended.
that's
No pun intended.
that's a shipload of wow. So here are some of the amenities that the Titanic had:
Okay.
cargo room,
Nice.
post office,
I'm sorry. A post office?
a post office, fully equipped post office staffed by 5 mail clerks. Over one, over 3,000 mail bags were lost when the ship sank. Really? And
No
over 7
duh.
million items of mail were never would they never reached their destination. Well, I mean,
What if somebody was writing a love letter? They're like, "I will be visiting you and I love you," and somebody else was like, "Oh, they
we're
never wrote me.
sinking.
They never wrote me back." Oh, and so they get married to somebody else, and the person comes back because they somehow survived, and they're like, "Bro, didn't you get my letter?"
Yeah, that would that would be bad.
No, because the
That's
letter was on
bad.
the Titanic.
Here's
What
another
if it
one.
was a divorce paper? So like somebody was
Ooh,
sending divorce papers to their significant other in the
to the
Americas
through the mail.
through
God.
the mail, and then like they're in England and they're like, "Oh, I'm pretty sure my divorce decree
Here we
went
go.
through in America. I'm going to get married in the UK." And then when they come back to America, their divorce is still
What
they're
does it
still
say?
married cuz the
Uh,
divorce never made it to America.
oh, 24.7. What? I missed what she said. Oh, so 247 billion is how much it would have cost today.
Nope, that's too much money.
Yeah.
That is again, I'm going to say it, a boatload of money.
Yeah, it is. Okay. So, swimming pool. At a swimming pool.
You're in the ocean. Why do you need a swimming pool? This is what I don't understand about rich people. Why do you need a swimming pool if you're in the middle of the ocean?
They have a first class elevator, first class reception room. Bruce Ismay of the White Star Line hoped that the Titanic would make the fastest ever crossing from Southampton to New York. But, well, okay. We'll get to that in a second. That's probably John.
Sorry, somebody's coming home.
John's coming in. So they had boilers.
Okay.
They had a total of 24 boilers containing 6 furnaces, 5 boilers, and 3 furnaces containing 3 furnaces. So you had 24 containing 6 furnaces, 5 boilers containing 3 furnaces. Okay. Third class dining room. First,
So you couldn't even sit with the different class. You
no.
had to stick with. You know what? I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. I'm gonna keep
You
my
should hear
mouth
some of the
shut.
food.
All right, tell me the food.
Oh, we'll get to that in a second. Hold on. We're doing this is what they had. Do you want to know the food?
Yeah, tell me the food.
Let's see if I can find the food.
Tell me the food. What food did they have?
I do know that it wasn't great food.
No,
Some of it was like porridge, like for breakfast and stuff like that.
no, that was like a given back
Yay,
in the
this has
day.
names. Nice. This is what I didn't get to find out. Okay, hold on. Let's go back and find food.
I feel like porridge was super common. It's like cereal nowadays.
Yeah. Will it tell me food? It may not give me the food.
So what? They were like first class gets all the fancy stuff.
They did have fancy. So back in the day, back in that time, 1912, right? They got the chicken, obviously the beef and stuff like that. And then obviously the third class, they got the porridge. They got meat as well too, but I think the first class also got like fish, stuff like that.
So basically, the second and third class got like the hand me downs. It went like first class gets all the bougie
If
stuff.
you were to
Second class gets the second hand bougie stuff.
look
And
at the menus, you would think so.
and the third class gets the last of the
Chicken nuggets,
last
John says.
choice out of your siblings' clothes that have been passed down for 2 generations.
Right. Right. So I was trying to find names of the high class people and also the others. So they have the crew obviously says, and all the crew of the Titanic comprised of 885 people.
So the crew was 885 people, and the crew went down with the ship.
Pretty much. The deck crew, which is the officers, master at arms, storm masters, and able-bodied seamen. Sorry, shouldn't have laughed at that. My bad.
It's like an automatic reaction from you because I know you did this earlier. You said semen earlier, and you went.
Start laughing. My bad. Okay, that's not nice. Engineering department can't even speak. Engineers, boilermen, firemen, and electricians.
Wait a minute. They had firemen on this boat
Yeah.
and electricians.
Yeah, firemen.
Called the boat fire department.
Then they had stewards and gallery staff, restaurant staff, musicians, and post staff. Post office. So
Yeah, because you have a post office on a ship.
Captain Edward John Smith is the captain of
Okay.
the magnificent Titanic. His wage, and this is in pounds,
Okay, in pounds.
105. The maiden voyage of the Titanic was to be 62-year-old Captain Smith's last voyage before he retired.
I'm sorry. You spend $7.5 million in 1912 building a boat.
Ship.
A ship, my bad. And you are like, you know what I'm going to give the captain?
Hey, what's that in pounds, Angela?
108 pounds.
105.
105. Oh, I'm sorry. I overgave him money.
Yeah, don't do that. How dare you?
105 pounds.
Yeah.
Spend the extra money and pay your team better.
100 pounds in the U.S. currently today is $130.33.
Okay, so put it back to 1912.
Yeah. Okay. While he's doing that, he was married with a young daughter. Very little is known about his actions on the Titanic after collision. He was last seen on the bridge of the sinking ship. Captain Smith went down with the ship, and his body was never recovered.
You would think he floated. I'm sorry.
Freezing water
Not everybody can float.
causes you to float after you die.
So, Chief Officer Henry Wild, his monthly, that was his monthly wage. I'm sorry.
his monthly
I didn't
wage.
throw
Okay.
that in there. My
Okay,
bad.
that makes a little sense. I thought he was getting that for the total trip of the Titanic, and I was like,
I'm sorry. It was his monthly wage. I'm very sorry. This one for Chief Officer Henry Wild, the monthly wage, pound, 25.
pay your people better.
Henry Wild was serving as chief officer on the Olympic, but was transferred to the Titanic for her maiden voyages. Pronouns. Yeah. Okay. For her maiden voyage.
Oh yeah, because
No.
ships have to be
Yeah.
female. They always call. Well, I mean, we always call Carlos women too.
We do. Wild was off duty when the ship hit the iceberg. He took control of the even-numbered lifeboats and was last seen trying to free the collapsible lifeboats. Wild's body was never recovered either.
Oh, he was trying in his best. He was like, last ditch effort. I gotta
Yep.
work my best and hardest.
First Officer William Murdoch. Okay, I did learn something about this guy. Murdoch, because the name does sound familiar because I came across it. William Murdoch, 39 years old, had served on a number of White Star ships. He joined the Titanic as first officer and was on the bridge at the time of the collision and gave the order to turn the ship.
So £1 back then was $4.
Jeez. He helped to load women and children into the lifeboats. He did not survive the disaster and his body was never recovered. The little tidbit that I learned about Murdoch, he took his own life.
Oh.
While he was on the ship when all this was taking place.
So he was like, I don't want to drown.
Yes. So he took his own life. He shot himself in the head.
It's kind of like with 9/11, how people jumped out of the towers instead of wanting to burn.
Yeah. So that was sad that I just came across that and I was like, oh, good Lord, this poor guy. I mean, he already knew that he wasn't going to make it.
And I wonder, because you often see people who like work on ships, they have a fear of drowning, right? And I wonder if that was his fear. Like, if he worked on a ship, he was like,
maybe that's why I haven't gotten on a ship, because I have a fear of drowning.
And maybe it could have been that he worked on the ship. He didn't have a fear of the water, but he had a fear of drowning, and he would rather not drown and not have to go through his fear. Because from what I understand, drowning is one of the most painful ways.
Mhm.
Secondary, I think strangulation and drowning are virtually the same when it comes to it, except it's not, because when you drown, right,
Mhm.
you're trying to keep your lungs from filling with water. So you literally try to keep your mouth shut. But the further and further down you go, and the more and more, it's why, like, they say you can drown within like a little bit of water, because while you're trying not to take in water, your body is fighting and it doesn't understand the circumstances. So even if you're like, you got to keep my mouth closed, got to keep my mouth closed, you open your mouth anyway to take in a breath of oxygen,
and you can't.
And then you take in water and you can't stop.
And you remember the water at that time was so cold.
We haven't got that yet.
That you're literally breathing in ice.
Yeah, you're like, and it just, once it fills up your lungs, you're completely, once you take in that first,
how like the temperature of how cold the water was yet.
Once you take in that first gulp of water, you got like a couple of seconds before you're feeling it the whole time. So it's a painful way to go.
Yes, it is. Again, this is just the crew itself, which is what I wanted to look for, especially for John Smith. I know that Smith wrote, like, when we were at the museum, they actually have a letter that he sent to his daughter while they were out in the ship. And I don't know if I took a picture of that or if John took a picture of it. I'll put as much as I can on this so you guys can look at those. The second officer, Charles Lightoller, had begun his sailing career at the age of 13 and had been involved in a shipwreck before. Let's see. Lightoller was keen to load the lifeboats as quickly as possible and was still trying to free collapsible lifeboats when Titanic sank. He was sucked under the sea by the sea, but blown to the surface by air escaping from a vent. He managed to climb onto the overturned collapsible lifeboat B. He survived the disaster and as the most senior surviving officer testified at both inquiries.
So he was the senior officer, that he was the closest thing to the captain that they had to testify.
Mm-hmm. And if you guys are wanting to know, I will jump into the passengers. So first class on board, there were 175 men for first class. Only 57 survived.
Is it true that Mr. and Mrs. Roebuck were on the ship?
Macy's?
Oh, Macy. Is it Macy, not Sears?
You said Macy's. You said that Mr. and Mrs.
Roebuck, Sears, Roebuck. They on the ship?
You said Macy's.
Oh,
I'm like, don't confuse my brain. I don't know. I haven't. It has a list on here that I'm trying to go through of people. Women, 144 women in first class, 140 survived.
And I bet you those were like, I'm not leaving my husband.
Well, from what I understand, from what John was just asking, is there was a couple that owned either Sears or Macy's. They were on the ship and they laid in their bed together and died together.
I mean, because you also, and I hate to say this, and I really hate to, you have to think about the time back then. Women without husbands or without all that other stuff, they didn't have a good old time.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, they may have been trying to save their own life, but also they could have been, I'm not going through this without you. I'm
Yeah.
not going to try to live another day without you.
And I have a list right here of the first class people that were on the boat ship. I gotta stop doing that. Children, there were 6 in first class and 5 survived.
Okay.
So there was a total of 325 people in first class and only 202 survived. Second class, 168 men, 14 survived.
Jeez.
Women, 93 were on the ship. 80 of us, I was say 80 of us survived. 80 survived, sorry. Children, there were 24, all 24 from second class survived.
Nice.
285 altogether, 118 survived. So I mean that's drastic for 168 men to be in second class and only 14,
Yeah.
didn't they made it. Um
many of the men in those days, though, gave their lives because they're commendable.
well, not only that,
To save a woman before.
Yeah.
except for the one douchebag in the movie who decided to put himself on the boat. Sorry. That still irks me when I see that part. Like, dude,
Oh, yeah.
really? Third class, 462 men, 75 survive.
What?
Remember where they are. Okay.
Oh, they were at the
You
bottom
you
of the
look at
boat.
yep. So there's first class gallery, second class. They're down here. They're in the bottom. And what happened in the movie? They closed off the gates. So women, 165, 76 survived. 79 children in third class, only 27 survived. 706 people were in third class and 178 survived. Here's this part too. I don't quite get the math on this, but okay. It does not show how many men were on the crew.
Mm-hmm.
It shows that there were 23 women, obviously no children.
Mm-hmm.
Which of it shows none survived, but then it says 215 survived. But here's the total passengers was 1,316. Total that survived, 498. Total on board, 2,229. Total crew, 913. Total that survived was 215. Total survivors, 713. Now, to go back to the other thing, Carpathia, when they finally arrived, first lifeboat was picked up at 4:10 in the morning on the 15th.
Okay.
Okay. Now, everybody that fell or jumped into the water, obviously they froze to death. Like John's saying, it's so cold. There's no way they're going to come out of that.
Yeah.
But Jack, she said she never let go. In the movie, said don't let go.
There were
I'll
two
never
people.
let go.
There was
Jack. I'll
enough
never
space
let
on that
go.
door for 2 people.
There was.
I will die on that hill.
That makes me mad. She let go, Jack. She let go. April 15th, 8:50, Carpathia had 705 survivors on their boat from the Titanic.
Okay.
And then they headed for New York. April 18th.
Also, wasn't there a guy who was, I think it was the cook, Wasn't there a cook who was super, super drunk? Like his blood alcohol level was so high that he was floating in the water. And because his blood alcohol was so high in his bloodstream,
He survived.
he survived because it couldn't freeze his blood.
No, everybody should have got drunk. Okay. That's new to me because I never knew about that part. So that's another new thing that we got going on here.
So if they ever say drinking doesn't save lives, it does.
As
And
long
it
as you're not getting
has.
behind a car. You're not getting the car.
Don't get in a car.
April 18th. So obviously, 3 days later at 9 p.m., Carpathia arrived in New York. From April 19th to May 25th, an American inquiry was held about the disaster and what happened. Here's another kicker that's going to kind of irritate you. No lawsuits were taken against the White Star Line.
Was it because they thought there was no way that anybody could be held accountable for this?
It could be. I mean, that would be my guess. I mean, they could still try. The worst they could sit there and say is no. I mean, but again, how many survivors?
Yeah, there's not that many.
713. I mean, let's see. And then April 22nd to May 15th, there were several ships that were sent to the disaster site. Oh my God, I'm trying to put disaster and site together to recover bodies. A total of 328 bodies were found floating in the area. And then from May 2nd to July 3rd, British Board of Trade inquiry was held. So they were doing a full-on investigation to see.
I think somebody commented. I can't see what it said though.
Oh, he drank 2 bottles of whiskey and helped get people onto the lifeboats. Laugh out loud. He claims it saved his life.
I mean, if you drink 2 bottles of whiskey, your blood alcohol has to be so because liquor doesn't freeze.
Okay, there was a lot of comments while we were. Angela was busy. Third class was like stew, so they had like stew and stuff like that. First class was salmon filet mignon, and which is I was correct on that. Second class is like bangers and mash. Boats are literally cities on the ocean. Yes, they are. 1 pound would have been $4.80, so 25 pounds would have been $120 back then. Strauss is the co-owner of Macy's and was on the boat. That ship, that's who it was on. It was him and his wife. Mom lost signal. Vessel, laugh out loud, she said. He claims it saved his life. And that's where she said he drank 2 bottles of whiskey and he helped get people on the
Because
lifeboats.
again, liquor doesn't freeze. They tell you to put your liquor if you want cold liquor, they tell you to put it in
the
your freezer.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't freeze. So if you drank 2 bottles of whiskey,
dang man, say bye to your liver. I mean,
you know he was an alcohol. I think
oh
he
God,
wasn't.
yeah.
I'm not sure if he was Irish or not. I think he was.
What you saying?
I'm just
What?
saying. He could hold his liquor.
Profiling.
No, he could hold his liquor. That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
2 bottles of whiskey and was
So-
able to get people on lifeboats.
kudos, dude. Okay, so now we found
I would be on the
first-class
floor dead.
passengers. Ugh, I'd be not wanting to get up for a couple days. It attracted numbers of the rich, which made up the first class. The first class parlor suite cost in pounds $870, while the first class berth cost $30 in pounds. The following are some of the more well-known first class travelers. John Jacob Astor. The richest passenger aboard was a multimillionaire, John Jacob. We're just going to call him John Jacob. Trying to say his last name ain't happening. He was traveling with his second wife, Madeline, who was 5 months pregnant.
Who was his first wife? Did he kill his first wife? I'm sorry.
Hence why they're not telling us. JJ did not survive, but his wife did.
Okay.
So she obviously probably had a baby. Okay, Benjamin Guggenheim. Oh my God, I can't say it. Guggenheim. Millionaire Benjamin was traveling on the Titanic with a lady friend. His wife and family were at home
friend.
in New York. Guggenheim. Why do they got to do the last name? Guggenheim and his manservant helped women and children into lifeboats. When all the boats had gone, they changed into their best clothes and prepared to die like gentlemen.
His manservant?
Well, yeah, the rich had men servants, women servants. God, making it sound like I had some drinks with that dude that drank the whiskey. Man, Sir Cosmo and Lady
Did his lady
Dufford.
friend survive?
It didn't say. Well, if she's on the boat,
Cause that's gotta be awkward.
apparently.
That's gotta be real awkward. Like the wife is like, "Oh my gosh, my husband! Who's his passenger? Who's this woman he's bringing with him?
Well,
She survived. I must know more." You know that's gotta be heartbreaking.
oh yeah,
You find out your husband is dead, and then you find out he's been having it. You know what? Though again, it is 1912,
yeah. And back then, divorce was not allowed.
and so men just slept around a lot back
Mm-hmm. All right,
then.
Sir Cosmo and Lady Duff Gordon. Okay, what a name.
Duff
Lady
Gordon.
Duff Gordon was a notable dress designer who also included her clientele included Isadora Duncan, Oscar Wilde.
Ooh,
Ooh, yeah, that name sounds familiar. And the British royal family.
Oscar Wilde, the author, the gay author.
You need to look that up.
Yeah,
Find
no,
out. Let's
no,
find out about
I'm
Oscar
pretty sure.
Wilde.
I'm sure Oscar
Do you like
Wilde.
how our lives never go as planned? How many people are watching right now? I just want to see because we had 4. We still have 4. Come on, people, let's rack it in.
Yeah, Oscar Wilde was an Irish writer and a celebrity in the 19th century, known for his wit, flamboyant style, and comedies.
I was gonna say that name and his didn't he have a
He was married though. He was married to Constance
what
Wilde.
is that woman's name that Harry dated? Her last name is Wild. Maybe his granddaughter, great granddaughter, something like that.
Maybe, but I know some of the books that he's most well known for is like The Picture of Dorian Gray
I have that.
and A Woman of No Importance, which a lot of people, the reason they say Oscar Wilde is gay now is because like if you read The Picture of Dorian Gray, there's a lot of like subtext when you read into it
I
that
haven't read it yet, but I think I
you're
have it
like,
in there.
that's a little
Mm.
flamboyant.
I have that book because
That's a little
I have Mary Shelley's book in there too of
little
Frankenstein, but that's a
fruity.
different thing. Yeah, a little frou frou. The Duff Gordons both survived but were called to testify at the court of inquiry and explain why their boat contained only 12 people.
Oh,
During the
son
inquiry, they were accused they were accused and cleared of bribing crew members not to allow more people into the boat.
so other people thought it too. Okay. I'm not the only one. I thought I was like, you know what, maybe it's just, trauma. People were just trying to get out. No, other people thought
Oh,
it too.
okay. So John was correct. We'll get to the next one. Here's my favorite character in the movie. I
Hmm.
liked her. The unsinkable Molly Brown, who was played by Miss Kathy Bates. I love her. She's such a great actress. And she played Molly Brown perfect. She did a great job. Molly was the daughter of a poor Irish immigrant family whose husband struck rich while mining for silver. She was traveling home to America aboard the Titanic. She survived the disaster in lifeboat number 6 and earned her nickname because she took control of the boat, kept women rowing for 7 hours, and gave her furs to keep others warm. And if you see in the movie, she did do that. Because what was it she told their boat was full. So boat number 6 that she was in, if I remember right in the movie, their boat was full. They couldn't take on any more people.
Yeah.
And she even they just could not do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the guy that was
Hello.
in the boat, the crew member that was in the boat, what you doing? Go on, mama.
You got this.
Go on, sweetie.
Use me if you need to.
Get out there, baby. Mama help. There you go. Oh, well, you're not helping yourself much. And it doesn't help where I got you. Okay, there we go. Woo! You made it. Good job. Yeah. Um, but if you remember, they had plenty of people in their boat, so they couldn't take on anymore. But if I remember right, also she sat there and the guy was saying some stuff, and she pretty much shut him down quick. So hence her taking control of that boat, whatever, lifeboat. Okay, so Isadore and Ida Strauss, which is who Angela was saying. They were a partner. Isidore Strauss was a partner of Macy's department store. They spelled Macy's wrong in New York. He and his wife were returning from a European holiday. Both died on the Titanic. Uh, Ida nearly got into a lifeboat number 8, but refused, saying to her husband, "Aw, it's sad. We have been living together for many years. Where you go, I go."
Now that's real love. I'm sorry. That's like the kind of love that you like read about in fairy tales.
Not me, bitch. I'm gone. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. That's very sweet that she said that, because I remember they were in. I know I keep going back to the movie, but in the movie they show them putting on their best dress, their nicest clothes. She's putting on her jewelry and all this stuff, and he was telling her, "Come on, let's go. Let's get you up to the lifeboat." And she was going to get into it, but then that's like it says. She said, "No, I'm going with you. I'm not." There were 325 first class passengers on board, 175 men, 144 women, and 6 children. 202 first class passengers survived, 57 men, 140 women, and 5 children. Second class, ooh, not a whole lot of people in second class that were like level of luxury, let's put it that rivaled of the first class. A second class ticket cost £13.
Okay, not too bad.
Lawrence Beasley, if I'm saying that correct, was a public school teacher traveling to America for a holiday. He survived the lifeboat. Oh my God, my words. He survived the disaster in lifeboat
Mhm.
number 17 and was one of the first people to publish an account of the sinking and rescue. So he's
Okay.
the first one. Now I love doing research for things. It's so much fun. Let's see. So 12:45, lifeboat number 7 was lowered. It was the first lifeboat to leave, right? First white distress flare was fired at 55, so 10 minutes later. And then 1:15 in the morning, water reached the word Titanic on the bow. 1:30, panic struck those who were still left on the Titanic. Distress cause became desperate. They started doing them more. Carpathia heard its last report from Titanic at 1:45 in the morning. Again, I mean, they really can't send much.
Yeah.
2:20, third officer Pittman claims Titanic disappeared under the water. 3 a.m., water became quiet. Screams from the water had stopped. So that's where people literally were freezing to death and dying, because what can they do? They can't do anything. 3:30, survivors saw first signs of Carpathia. 4:10, survivors in lifeboat 2 reached Carpathia first. 8:30 a.m., survivors in lifeboat 12 were the last to reach Carpathia. So that tells me the ones that were rowing and trying to get as far away from it, or they probably the ones that were the furthest out there. Eva Hart. 7-year-old Eva Hart was traveling to America with her parents. Eva's mother had a premonition and refused to sleep at night during the voyage. Eva and her mother were saved in lifeboat number 14. Eva never saw her father again.
Oh, you know,
It's like the way they describe
intuition.
this. Yeah. It's like if something tells you, yeah, I'm not going to do it, don't do it. Um, Thomas Biles and I don't know how to say this person's name here. How would you say that? Montevilla? We'll just say Montevilla. We're going to leave it at that, because trying to say his first name, I'm not sure. These were 2 Roman Catholic priests
Okay.
who conducted services for second class passengers. After the sinking, they both helped other passengers to safety, heard confessions, and prayed. Both of them died in the tragedy.
Oh, so in the end, they were like, "Well, here confessions. Don't want to."
Yeah.
And as a Catholic, that's funny because if you go to confession, um, basically, Catholics believe that once you go to confession, you confess your sins. You're pure of sins, and if anything were to happen to you after you die, you go to heaven. So basically, they're like, everyone's going to heaven today. And I know that it shouldn't be as funny, but that is a funny sentiment to me. Is that they're like, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna give mass.
Yeah. I mean, it's to help people also have that
peace of mind.
peace of mind. Yeah, that if
Especially
they're
if,
not gonna, they know they're not gonna make it.
yeah.
Just to go to a priest.
And I wonder if there were any, like the third class knew they weren't going to survive. So I wonder if they knew and went to mass and was like,
I think. Oh, there's a short list for third class of how many. Like, it doesn't really have any names. Um. So okay, Charles Aldworth.
mm-hmm,
Charles Aldworth was a first class passenger. William Carter's chauffeur.
mm-hmm,
Carter's. Um. He had a 25 motor car. Was stored on the cargo hold. Um. Charles Aldworth did not survive. And after him, it shows that there were 285 second class passengers on board, 168 men, 93 women, 24 children. 118 who survived the disaster, 14 men, 80 women, and 24 children. Many of the Titanic third class passengers traveling in rooms or steerage were immigrants traveling to the United States from Ireland and Scandinavia. Go ancestors. Okay. Got on a good ship.
yeah, trying to get out,
Yep.
only to not make it out.
Right. In all, some 33 nationalities were represented in the passengers list. Now, if you remember in the movie, again, I know I quote movies a lot. Jack
Mm-hmm.
technically was not supposed to be on that ship.
He was a stowaway.
He was never supposed to. No. In the movie, he won his ticket gambling. And the part of the deal was if he won, he got the guy's tickets. So technically, he really was not supposed to be on there. It was supposed to be the person he won the tickets from. Jack would still be alive. Well, would have still been alive.
Yeah.
But he won the tickets. And then, of course, he meets Rose, starts pursuing Rose, does a naked photo of Rose on the couch with the necklace on that her fiance gave her. Douchebag. I fell in the water. Sorry.
You're not wrong.
I didn't like him in the movie. Accommodations were clearly more Spartan than those for the first and second classers. A ticket for a Titanic third class cost between £3 to £8, £3 to £8.
Okay.
The information below contains statistics on some of the nationalities traveling in the third class and survival accounts. There were 120 Irish passengers on the Titanic, most of whom were immigrants hoping for a better life in America. Most of them did not make it. However, Anna Kelly, who had gone up on deck to investigate what had happened, survived in Lifeboat 16. She later became a nun.
Oh.
Finnish, and it's got two ends. There were 63 Finnish passengers on the Titanic, of whom only 20 survived. Matilda Baxter was traveling to New York with her husband and brothers. She survived in one of the last lifeboats to leave, collapsible D. Her husband and brothers died.
Oh.
Swedish. There were 26 Swedish passengers on the board of the Titanic, whom were all traveling third class. Many did not reach their destinations. I'm not sure how to say this name, but they have it in parentheses. Agnes Charlotte Bangston.
Bangston.
Agnes. We're just going to call her Agnes, not Angus. Sorry, Agnes was traveling with her two daughters. They all survived the disaster in Lifeboat 13. Belgians. There were 24 Belgians on board the Titanic, 23 in third class. Two lucky Belgians, Emma and Henry Van der Steen, that's not her last name, I can't say her last name, were turned away at Southampton. Only 4 Belgians, all men, survived the disaster. There were 706 people in third class, 462 men, 165 women, 79 children. 170 of them survived. 75 men, 76 women, and 27 children. I mean, that's a lot of people to be losing. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to think of. Yeah, it would. I could see where it would take Carpathia 3 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, to get to people because I don't think they would want to be taken down themselves.
And I mean, I think it's also we have to think about the time frame. As much as I struggle to think about that,
Yeah.
it's 1912. Their technology isn't as fast as us.
Mm.
Now we could probably get a boat and a plane and a helicopter out there
Within
within an hour or two,
yeah.
maybe 2 hours max.
So now here is some theories that I've come across. Like I said, I was writing this and then my hands start cramping, so I'm like, don't have enough ink, so I'm that's why I have my tablet. Why did the Titanic sink? It was Captain Smith's fault.
Okay.
So there were people blame. This is a theory. Now, these are theories of what they're saying. Um, it was his. He was going to retire after this. He was going to be done. He was going to stay home with family. All you had to do, like it says here, is go to New York in record time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Captain E.J. Smith said years before the Titanic's voyage, I cannot imagine any condition which would cause a ship to founder. Or founder? Founder? Modern shipbuilding has gone beyond that. Here's the thing. Reading this, how many things did they get? How many notices did they get of the
7.
iceberg? Okay. It says that Captain Smith ignored 7 iceberg warnings from his crew and other ships. If he had called for the ship to slow down, then maybe the Titanic disaster would have never happened. If you think of in the movie, he didn't respond to it fast enough either. If you've seen the movie.
Especially if you're trying to go max speed, right? You're going at 28 knots, 23, 24 knots, right? You're going fast.
Mm-hmm.
And you won't be able to turn in time.
Mm-mm.
But also, maybe if they were going slow enough and they hit the iceberg, like if they
Like I
had
said,
slowed down, they may have only hit the first 2 compartments, and
mm-hmm.
those first 2 compartments were specifically made to take on water.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
So if he had tried to slow down,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they may have wanted to make it in record time. Bet you there was a bonus if he made it in record time.
Yeah, which
But
they're not going to put that there. So
but I think at the same time, yeah, he should have slowed the boat down.
yeah,
That's
yeah. The second theory is it was the shipbuilders' fault. About 3 million rivets were used to hold the section of the Titanic together. And if you've ever watched a ship be built, it's amazing how they build this thing. And then you have to do it in 2 separate sections. And I know going back to the Disney ships, they have something that they usually do every on Fridays. When I get home, I'll sit down and I'll watch it. And they talk about the ships, and they show how they do the back half of one in one area, and then the front half is in another country, and they're building it. So they're sitting here when they bring it together, they're on pins and needles praying that this is going to connect well. And that's how they built ships. I don't know how they did. Titanic.
and I wonder if maybe if it was I think it's possible that it was both of them. The builders didn't build something correctly, didn't lay something down correctly.
Oh, you're fixing to find out. So when they were down at the wreckage pulling things out, because they pulled a lot of things out, and they also pulled out like a safe, thinking that they would find the heart of the ocean or the heart of Titanic, which they're saying they could still never find it. It's lost. You can't. It's
Mm-hmm.
not there, right? Or like it shows in the movie, I thought the lady threw it in at the end. Well, I went and got it for you, Britney Spears song, because they use it. You can't find it. It's not down there. Some of the rivets had been recovered from the wreck and analyzed. The findings show that they were made of substandard iron.
Ah.
When the ship hit the iceberg, the force of the impact caused the heads of the rivets to break and the sections of the Titanic to come apart. If good quality iron rivets had been used, the sections may have stayed together better and it wouldn't have sunk. Okay, can agree with that. I mean, you want this. There has been speculation and more theories that they built the ship too fast.
Mm-hmm.
They did not take their time, and they did not use. They only used subpar
Like I said, they cut
stuff.
corners.
Yes. So it's like, Okay, if you're gonna pay 7.5 million to build make it right.
Yeah, you
Make it
use
to where
good
it is
steel.
safe for people. Now, hence why, what did you say yesterday? This is why they're not allowed to name anything the Titanic because it's like it's a curse.
Yeah, no, it's bad luck. I think because it's bad luck,
Excuse me.
and I could have sworn there was a secondary ship that was named Titanic that sailed before the Titanic we have now that crashed
I can find that
and it sunk.
because it's here. I
Oh,
also have that too, so I'll give you that information as well. So now they're saying Aunt Thomas Andrews, it was his fault, due to the fact that 16. So they had 16 watertight compartments. However, the compartments did not reach as high as they should have.
oh,
The White Star Line did not want them to go all the way up because that would have reduced living space in the first class. Oh, heaven forbid if first class did not get their living space. No disrespect.
no
Mr. Andrews,
squash room.
their, their squatch room. The ship's architect had insisted on making them the correct height, then maybe Titanic would have not sunk. So he was not persistent enough. Here is the last theory: Captain Lord's fault. The final iceberg warning sent to Titanic was from the Californian, captained by Stanley Lord. She had stopped for the night about 19 miles north of Titanic. Mind you, they're closer than Carpathia. Carpathia was southeast of Titanic, and it took
Mm.
them 3 hours to get there. They were 19 miles. Not sure hours of how, what it would have been. They at around 11:15, California's radio operator turned off the radio and went to bed.
So if they had kept the radio on, there could have been more survivors.
Yes,
Could have gotten people off the boat faster.
yes. Sometime after midnight, the crew on watch reported seeing rockets being fired from the sky from a big liner. Captain Lord was informed, but it was concluded that the ship was having a party. That's what they assumed. No action was taken by the Californian. If the Californian had turned on the radio, she would have heard the distress messages from Titanic and would have been able to reach the ship in time to save all passengers. So, yeah, so pretty
So
much
it was basically
everybody that was listed on that, it was all on
like
them.
you couple it all together. That's the reason
Hmm
for
It was based on them. It was,
the captain not slowing down, the
yep,
Californian turning off their radios and going, "Oh, it's just a party."
yep.
And you know what's crappy is we still do that to this day. We as people still do that to this day. We see something and just go, it's something else, and then
hmm
just walk away.
Pretty much. So here is sinking of Titanic. It's not that great of a photo, but it actually shows, like, you can't even read the letters, they're so tiny. 11:40, the 14th, it's the iceberg, right? And then at, I don't know what that is. See if I can add that on there. But it pretty much shows
Yeah.
like how it goes down. Oh, sorry, I sat too long. I'm having old woman problems. So this is pretty much what I'm finding. It shows that if from hitting the iceberg and to the part where it sinks. So these poor people.
They suffered for no reason.
Yes. And so let me see if I can find what you were asking about.
If there
Mamma
was
Jam.
if there was a prior Titanic, because it's considered bad luck to name a ship after another ship that has
Sunk.
sunk or almost sunk. It's considered bad luck.
Yeah. Well, no, I would agree with that because that's just okay. Timeline. And oh, here it is. Okay, here it is. So there was another ship called the Titanic in 1898.
Okay.
Now we're going to do a comparison because it is a comparison. So it looks like there was three ships named Titanic.
Well, three ships named Titanic. Okay.
Okay, so the first, they're all British. They are all British ships. The first two, the 1898 one, 1912, were 800 feet in length.
Okay.
Okay, the last one was 882.5 feet in length.
Okay.
They were all made of steel. The weight, so for the first one is 45,000.
Okay.
The 1912 version, 70,000. The third one, 66,000. Horsepower, 40,000 for the one that was 1898.
Okay.
1912 was 75,000. 46,000 for this third Titanic. Propellers, they all had 3. Masts, they all had 2. The first 2, okay, well, we just read that. Okay, we'll discuss that in a second. The first 2 had 19 watertight compartments, but the third one had 16.
Okay.
That kind of makes no sense because for the one in 1912, it said that there was 16. That doesn't make any sense right there.
It could have been that they turned one compartment that was supposed to.
Yeah. Well, that's 3 compartments that they changed. Number of lifeboats, 24 for the first 2, 20 for the third.
Okay.
Passenger capacity, all of them, 3,000.
Okay.
Passengers on board, 1989, 3,000. 1912 version supposed to have 3,000. And then I think what it's doing, it's given an actuality of the Titanic itself. So the version, what it was supposed to have, what it was supposed to have. So that Titanic itself was 2,228 people. Speed at impact, 22.5 knots.
Yeah, so they would go
And
fast.
then the other 2, well, the Titanic 1912 version, 25 knots, the 89 version, or 98 version, 25 knots. Time of impact. Okay, so this is comparing when they both had their accidents.
Mm-hmm.
The other ones that it's showing near midnight, 11:40. Point of impact on the same side. Starboard.
So both ships hit around the same time, hit the same side of the ship.
Mm-hmm. Month that it happened, April, for all of it. Number of survivors for the very first Titanic, the 1898 one, 13. The 1912 version, 13. And then the Titanic, 705.
At least there are more survivors.
Yeah, right? So, and a little bit on the White Star shipping line was founded in 1850. Took advantage of an increase in trading following discovery of gold in Australia. It was purchased in 1867. The White Star Line shipping was purchased by Thomas Ismay and set up to rival Cunard in transatlantic passenger traffic. That's a lot to say in one sentence. So, yeah. And what you had said earlier, too, the Titanic was able to stay afloat if any 2 compartments where the first 4 became flooded. Shortly after it hit the iceberg, it was revealed that the first 6 compartments were flooded. Boilers, there were 24 double-ended boilers and 5 single-ended boilers, which housed in 6 boiler rooms.
So basically, never name a ship Titanic.
Yes.
Never, always just listen to your engineers when they tell you how many compartments you need. And then also,
use the better equipment.
yeah,
You're already going to pay the money for the ship in the first place. You're already
yeah.
going to pay for it to be built. You might as well just follow
And
through
and
with doing
also,
it.
and I know this is gonna, I'm cracking a joke here. Don't use a PS5 controller to control a submersible that's going down to visit the Titanic. I'm sorry. You know, the little
Yeah.
little submersible that went. Whew.
So let's see. Drunk
When did
Baker.
that collapse? When did
Drunk Baker was from an island between Ireland and England. Back then it was norm. Mom said grandma's like, I'm back. Oh, she had to go to work. Isidore Duncan is a dancer and choreographer. Olivia Wilde isn't related. Her last name. Okay, I'm not going to say that because that'd be kind of funny. I'll laugh.
what?
Olivia Wilde. She's not related to the author, but her last name is Cockburn. Why, Angela? Why? She's the one that put it in there. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, we're done.
Oh, I thought
think.
this would have collapsed. You know, I thought it would happen. The Ocean Gate Titan.
Mhm.
I thought it would happen in April because that would make a lot more sense if it happened in April. No, it happened in June.
Oh. Third class was like $15 to $40, so literally nameless individuals with little to nothing
Yeah.
for the tickets for them. The real Jack Dawson was a coal shoveler, and Rose never existed. But in his mind, she did. But again, she let go.
There was space on that door for two people.
Mm-hmm. Remember, they were 58 miles away and could only go 24 miles per hour max.
Yeah.
That's why she uses wild. But yeah, well, she might want to get a different last name. Oh wow. So that was adventurous.
Yeah.
That was very adventurous. I mean, there's so, and also I may next Monday we're doing the Oklahoma City bombing.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that one, I don't know if there's going to be a whole lot of information. There may be a lot of information, but I figure Josh Gates, who is the guy that does the Expedition Unknown stuff on the Travel Channel or History Channel, whatever it might be, he's doing a special on the Titanic. So there may be a part 2 of the Titanic, and then we'll have to push in Oklahoma City bombing with her thing on the Jazz Killer of New Orleans.
Yeah,
the
because
following Monday, which is the 28th.
So on the 28th, I'm going to discuss the Jazz Killer of New Orleans. So that's going to be an interesting one. It might be a short one because there's a bunch of theories around it. So we'll see. I will say our first episode in May is going to be on Silk Road. Now, some of you may know what Silk Road is. So like she doesn't know exactly what Silk Road is.
Nope.
So I think that's something interesting to talk about because Silk Road was really popular with kids my age. I had a bunch of people I knew in high school who had access to Silk Road and was using Silk Road, which to me as an older adult now is a terrifying idea.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I think.
So just like a little tidbit that this stuff is on the internet of kind of like especially because it's the summer months are coming up,
Yeah.
kind of as an infomercial of information of what Silk Road is, how Silk Road how it could be accessed,
Yeah.
and then also if there are other things like Silk Road out and about.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we will see what happens. I think we did what, an hour and a half
I think
today.
so.
That's
I'm
about
not
an hour
sure.
and a half. I mean, we went everywhere, but that's okay. It's not expected to go like.
We never go like we're supposed to.
Yeah,
We
we
never
never.
go as planned.
And it's more or less. It is what it is. I mean, questions that she was asking was like going back and forth, but
Yeah.
they were legitimate questions because you were wanting to know about this, and this. And now with the Oklahoma City bombing, I mean, I'll get the timeline on that, and we'll get going with that too. Like I said, I'm going to watch the thing that Josh Gates has going on because I'm very interested. And I was like, he's doing it on a Wednesday, and today is the anniversary of the Titanic sinking. And I'm like, could he not do it last week? Right? Have some
Yeah.
more things on it, but that's okay.
Yeah, because I have a documentary that was made by Vice,
Mhm.
Vice, the news program that was made on Silk Road that I want to use, but also there was a bunch of federal documents on it, and there's a bunch of documentaries on Silk Road.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna be watching a lot of TV and doing a lot of research on the computer because Silk Road is one of those things that's like terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, because they were showing last week, I believe it was, for the Oklahoma City bombing. I'm like, wow, they're kind of showing that
A little
a
early.
little early. I mean, we can sit here and kind of chat for a second. I'm gonna go potty real quick.
I think that's because
If you guys like have any questions or anything,
yeah, put him in the chat.
put it in the chat. We'll answer.
Let me. Oh no, no. That's okay. I'm good. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions, I'll answer them. So yeah, next week we're gonna do Oklahoma City bombing / Titanic part 2, and then the Jazz Killer of New Orleans. Um, Michelle really likes killings that happen in New Orleans for whatever reason. Because as soon as I said Jazz Killer of New Orleans, she was super excited to hear about it. I think she's really interested in just murder cases. Um, Especially because New Orleans is such a weird town. And I mean that in a loving way. Um, but yeah, and then we'll discuss Silk Road and we'll come up with a schedule for May. Yeah, maybe she had some. Well, yeah, maybe in the past life she lived in New Orleans. I wish. Which one of you is tearing up the boxes? Which one of you? I hear you. Okay. But yeah, really interested in those kinds of murders. Um, but let me know if there's any cases that you want done. If there's any like ideas, I was thinking about doing also in May. Um uh Doing the red pill community, discussing the red pill community because I think that's an interesting idea and an interesting topic to talk about, especially again during the summer months because kids are home. You get to learn a little bit cool things about things that are going on in your kid's life around your kids' ages. Um, so yeah, let me know if you're interested in learning about the red pill community because I will definitely be able to do a really long talk about that. Hi. Sorry, the dog's been sleeping and she just woke up. Yeah, the red pill content is really interesting. I don't think Michelle's ever heard of red pill content, so I hope you are all ready for a bunch of different responses from Michelle on the red pill community, cause it's real fun. Um, so yeah, so I'll do that as a second episode in May. We'll do Silk Road and then red pill. Um, because those are cool little things that are probably going on with young kids' lives. Also, have any of you seen the show Adolescence? That was a really good movie on Netflix. That was like a talking point of how the red pill community is affecting young boys, but they took it from a British standpoint instead of an American one. You should watch Adolescence. Adolescence is a real. Also, fun fact about Adolescence: they did the show in one take. Every episode that they do in Adolescence is done in one take.
Oh wow, I did not know that. All right.
Solar punk and lunar punk is interesting. Okay. But yeah. I was talking about doing the red pill community
Oh,
next episode.
okay.
So people are wanting to talk about that. I was saying the movie Adolescence is a good way of seeing how like the red pill community has affected young boys, and that's why
Oh,
they
okay.
did the show in Adolescence was to show how the effect. But I was also saying it's a something that they did for that movie that was really interesting was they shot every episode in one take.
Mm,
So they would literally just take a camera and follow the people around. So I remember they said that in the middle of like one of the episodes, the main actor messed up and did something that he wasn't supposed to do, and everyone went, "Oh crap, we're going to have to restart filming from the beginning of the episode because they weren't cutting scenes. It wasn't cutting
Oh,
from
wow.
here to there." So they're like, "We're going to have to start from square one." But the actress that the actors working with just ad-libbed, and it was very much like with the moment and was on top of it. And they went, "Oh, we don't have to film it from the beginning again."
Oh, wow.
Because they wanted to do that kind of like feel of no cuts, no going from here to there to here to there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Okay. All right, guys. So we are going to cut it here. Let's come back next Monday, pretty much around the same time. I'm thinking 5:30. We're trying to get it closer to being between 6 and 9 because they say more people are on watching, which right now we have 5 people watching.
yeah.
So, which is nice. Have a good night. We will,
Have a good
Angela.
night.
Have a good night. Thank you for being on here again, you and Thomas. I don't know what's going on with the um, TJ and Duck Hunter, but I hope they're okay. Would like them to come back and be moderators. Miss them being moderators. Yep. See you tomorrow, Thomas. Thanks for being here, bud. Appreciate you both. And appreciate the 5 people that got on here to watch. I know a lot of things are going on, so I kind of get nervous whenever there's not a whole lot of views. But then I learned that it's what's going on outside.
Yeah, what's
What's
going
going
on?
on right now in the world. So
People are trying to tune out and all this other
yeah,
stuff.
so everybody's trying to. They're paying more attention to that than YouTube, and I'm like, okay, understandable. I think I had this happen last year, but it's all good. Come back next Monday. I will watch the thing on Wednesday with Josh Gates so I can get some more info, and we will go from there.
Yeah.
And
I'll start doing research on Silk Road and the Red Pill community because that's
okay. So then we'll take off the Jazz
oh
Killer.
no, we're still
We'll
doing
do
the
a
Jazz Killer,
Okay.
but
We're probably gonna mix that with the K.
so I'll
OKC.
start doing the research because the red pill community is going to be a very interesting one, and I hate to say it's gonna come off political, but that's because
Yeah.
it's not meaning to be. It's I want to talk more about the ideas behind the red pill community, specifically the red pill community, when it has to do with men and women in their view.
Okay.
Which, as I was saying, you're gonna love it. You're gonna have such a blast with it, Michelle.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. If I go insane or I keep my brain, one of the two. All right, guys. Love you all. Thank you for coming on here today. See you all next week. Hope you have a great work week. Until next Monday. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.